Thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Whether you're listening during your commute, while working out, or just relaxing at home, we appreciate you. Every download, every listen, and every subscription means a lot. Up next, the 12 Kyle podcast.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
When little children go out to play basketball these days, it seems most pretend to be Michael Jordan. And why not? He's become an icon of sports and television. They're two tiny windows onto the world, and thus, he dominates their imaginations. But that is myth. And down here, well, that's basketball reality. Imagine what it's really like to be Michael Jordan. Imagine being assigned to the opposing center, giving up 50 pounds and 7 inches. Imagine that in the marquee matchup, he doesn't have to guard you, but you have to guard him. Imagine that every time your team trails by a basket with 10 seconds to play, you have to take the shot. And then in overtime, there's no time to be tired or injured or to want help from a teammate. It's you they're watching all over the country, all over the world, in fact. It's you they expect to win the game. Playing 52 minutes of a 53-minute contest, you're still required to make this kind of exclamation point at the finish. So, even as the children say, "I'm going to be Michael Jordan someday," you wonder if somehow, amid the injuries, the fatigue, and the expectations, he'll find a way to be Michael Jordan again tonight.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1991 NBA Finals.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading, and thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. Man, check this out. What you just heard was an intro to a NBA Finals game from 1991. I do believe that would have been the Chicago Bulls led by Michael Jordan versus the LA Lakers led by Irvin Magic Johnson. You see the title. I think the NBA Finals can be fixed, and I'm going to tell you how. At the time of this recording, we just witnessed the Oklahoma City Thunder defeat the Indiana Pacers in 7 games to win their first franchise NBA title. If you look at Oklahoma City Thunder's roster, there's reason to believe that they could be back in the finals again as soon as next year. They are loaded. They have a very young team, very exciting to watch. But I don't want to talk about the finals specifically as far as the teams are concerned, because, I mean, you can tune in to ESPN for that. I do want to talk about ESPN and the NBA and how the finals actually look and feel. One of the things that we heard constantly throughout the finals was about how low the ratings were for the finals. And here's the thing. I think ratings do matter to some degree because it gives you a barometer as to who's tuning in. But it also doesn't matter because I seem to think that core basketball fans like myself, we're going to tune in regardless who's watching, who's playing. Here's the thing, because there was a lot of pushback because of the teams, Oklahoma City, as well as Indiana. I mean, you're dealing with two small market teams in Oklahoma City and Indianapolis. But that being said, these were the two best teams in the league. And Oklahoma City was the best team all year long from start to finish, and they won the title. I think they won 69 games during the regular season. So they were the best team. They had the best record in the league, and they won the title. But something I want to read to you guys, and it deals with the ratings. It says the NBA, and this is from Yahoo. It says the NBA finals finished Sunday night, which was this past Sunday. About 16.3 million people tuned in to watch the Thunder beat the Indiana Pacers Sunday night to give its franchise's first NBA title since relocating to Oklahoma City. ESPN announced that the game peaked at 19.3 million viewers at one time. That made it the most watched finals game in the last 6 years. In total, the series averaged about 10.2 million viewers per game. That's down about 9% from 2024. It's also the least watched finals since the San Antonio Spurs, led by Tim Duncan, swept the Cleveland Cavaliers, led by LeBron James, excluding the COVID-19 pandemic influenced seasons of 2020 and 2021. Though Sunday's numbers were undoubtedly a good showing for the league, it was the first winner-take-all finals in the NBA since 2016, and it's easy to see why more fans tuned in. The early games in the season, however, did not perform as well. Game one of the finals just averaged just under 9 million viewers on ABC, which made it the least amount watched game since 1988, excluding the 20 and 21 seasons. That was a 19% decline in viewership since last year's finals between the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks. Game two was worse. That contest, which was the Thunder blowout, averaged 8.76 million viewers, made it the least watched game two since 2007. So what we're saying here is that the ratings have been or weren't that good, relatively speaking. And I think there's a few reasons why. First and foremost, I think part of the reason why the ratings fluctuated in the way that they did is because of the presentation. What you just heard in the lead into this podcast was, again, a clip from NBC back in 1991. Now, granted, it had, in that particular finals in 1991, arguably two of the greatest players to ever play basketball in Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan. That being said, even in that clip, what you heard was the legend Bob Costas. And what he's doing is he's building up intrigue and building up the hype for this particular game. I don't know, as a basketball fan, how you could hear something like that and not be enthused about what it is you're about to watch. ESPN, ABC, well, we'll just call them ESPN, ABC from here on out. Their presentation of the finals, in a lot of ways, make it look like the finals is just a regular game, because there's no pomp and circumstance. There's no big emotional, push as the game is about to start. Hell, to be honest, up until game 5, they weren't even showing the pregame intros. Now, I'm from the old school. I do remember the run from the Chicago Bulls when Michael Jordan, they would show the intros when the players are being introduced. There's no better way to get a feel for what's happening in an arena as to see the player introductions. Now, I know when we talk about other sports like baseball and football, you don't have time for the introductions. But in basketball, it's just 2 minutes of calling the names of 10 players and the coaches. That's it. But what's happened was over a period of time, as these networks have gotten bigger and these sports packages have gotten bigger and there's been more money involved and more commercials, they've decided to move away from in the coverage of basketball, particularly in the NBA, of the intros. I think the intros, when you're introducing the players, again, it gives the fans a chance to experience, or at least feel what's going on in the arena. For the home team, normally the lights go out and there's this big show and everything. And it is a spectacle. It is something that I think every fan, if you don't get a chance to attend an NBA game, should at the very least see on TV. And so that's a part of the presentation. And it seems like to me, it wasn't until I think it was Game 5 where they showed the pregame intros. And what's interesting is when they showed the pregame intros, they made the point that the pregame intros had not been seen in the NBA Finals since 2013. That is crazy to me. Look at all of the stars that have played in the NBA Finals since then. The LeBrons, the Kevin Durants, the Steph Currys, the Kawhi Leonards. And we're just now getting back to showing pregame intros. And it's simple because ESPN ABC decided that, hey, we're going to make sure that we get all of our commercials in. We get our sponsors. I get it. It's a business. I get that part of it. But part of the appeal for the NBA Finals is the pageantry and everything else that surrounds it. I mean, like one instance, and I know it's a different sport, but I'm going to use this as an example. We would always hear about the pageantry of the Rose Bowl during bowl season. And the Rose Bowl is what they call the granddaddy of all bowl games in college football. And prior to the Rose Bowl coming on TV, guess what you see? You see the Rose Bowl parade in Pasadena, California. So not only do they give you the game, but they give you like a 2-hour parade through downtown Pasadena with all of the pageantry. And then the game shifts to the Rose Bowl Stadium. And, it's set in whatever the mountains is back there in Pasadena. I don't know the name of the mountains. I think it's the Santa Ana Mountains. I'm not sure. But anyway, so you have this beautiful backdrop of these mountains and you are in this stadium that holds 108,000 people. And you just watch the parade, and there's a buildup and it leads to the game, and the game usually lives up to the billing of, what you just saw. It should be the same for the NBA Finals. There should be a pregame show. There should be pageantry. There should be in-depth interviews. What we get from ABC with the NBA Finals is a panel of people talking, which is what ESPN does. And I will give ESPN credit. ESPN does that well. They have a panel of people talking and we tune in. ESPN has daily shows like First Take, led by Stephen A. Smith, where fans, hundreds of thousands of people tune in each day to listen to these people debate sports. I don't even know if it's really debate. It's more like argue talk, but I mean, that's another subject for another day. Nonetheless, you got 4 people who are talking and they're giving you the analysis of the game, or at least what they think is about to happen in the game. But there's nothing else. I mean, like it doesn't look like there's anything special about to happen. And then when you get to the arena, and then, well, let me back up. In the NBA Finals, they go from being in the studio to being in the actual arena. Well, you know what the problem is? Now, it looks good to be in the arena, right? But you know what the problem is? The problem is that as the game gets closer and closer, the arena gets more full and it gets more louder, right? And as the arena gets louder, then your panelists who are in the arena now all of a sudden have to talk louder, or at least they should, or sometimes they are borderline screaming because it gets so loud in the arenas. And I've never really, I get the idea of it, but I've never really been a fan of having your, host of your sports show your lead in, your pregame show in the arena, because for the viewer at home, if it gets really loud, it really comes off as they're screaming, not the fans, but your panelists, which is something Stephen A. Smith doesn't need any help doing. We know he screams very loud all the time. But yeah, it just doesn't look or feel like something special is about to happen. That's one thing. Another thing is, as far as the decline in ratings, is that you have to be able to build up your stars. Are you feeling nostalgic for the golden eras of rap and soul music? If so, tune in to the Rap Soul Podcast. We are your weekly journey through the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, spotlighting the music and the hidden gems that shaped the soundtrack of our lives. From the powerful beats to the soulful melodies, we bring you the best of the past with fresh insights and stories. Rediscover the music that defined a generation. Subscribe to the Rap Soul Podcast and enjoy the vibes. If you want a podcast where culture, conversation, and life collide, where you get insightful commentary, engaging discussions, and a fresh perspective on everything, then you need to listen to the 12 Kyle podcast, hosted by the one and only, yours truly, 12 Kyle, a voice that you know and trust. This podcast will bring you thought-provoking moments, compelling stories, and a whole lot of fun. Whether you're a first-time listener or just tuning in, each episode promises to be something new and exciting. So sit back, relax, join 12 Kyle, myself, and my guests as we break down the world around us and give you stories that you've never heard before, from nostalgic throwbacks to everything in between. The 12 Kyle podcast is a front row seat to this conversation. Subscribe now and never miss an episode of the 12 Kyle podcast, where the vibe is always real and the discussion is always worth your time.
Close your eyes and imagine what you'll look like 6 months from now. How's your hair look? The same? Now picture how your hair would look if you started using Hims. If you're picturing the same you as before, but with much thicker and fuller hair, you'd be correct. What can happen in 3 to 6 months? You could pick up a new hobby and get not that good at it yet. You could do about half of your New Year's resolution. You could learn a few songs on the piano or pick up bass guitar. Or you could start seeing thicker, fuller hair regrowth through Hims. Not bad for just 3 to 6 months. Men, if you're starting to notice your hair thinning when you look in the mirror, you're not alone. Life just gets busier and busier, and it can feel like there's not enough time in the day to do something about it. So, try Hims Hair Loss Solutions. You can avoid jumping through a bunch of frustrating hoops and get access to treatment without even leaving your home. Hims provides you with the convenient access to a range of hair loss treatments that work, all from the comfort of your couch. Hims makes treating hair loss simple with doctor-trusted options and clinically proven ingredients, like finasteride and minoxidil that can regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. Choose from personalized chewable, oral, spray, and serum treatments to find what works best for you. The process is simple and 100% online, so there are no uncomfortable doctor visits. Answer a few questions and a medical provider will determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment is sent directly to you for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Hims has hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, and they can help you get your confidence back too with visibly thicker and fuller hair. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/Hail Mary. That's HIMS.com/Hail Mary for your personalized hair loss treatment options. hims.com/Hail Mary. Results may vary based on studies on topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Prescription products require an online consultation with the healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
Lowe's knows laundry day should be easy. Achieve maximum versatility with a dryer door that swings open either way, making load transfer from washer to dryer a breeze. Plus, with LG ThinQ, save time by controlling your washer remotely. Shop LG, America's most reliable line of home appliances, today at Lowe's. Based on independent reliability surveys 2021 to 2024 and select major appliances as compared to competing manufacturers offering full appliance lines. See associate for more details. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Exclusions apply. Valid 6/18 through 7/9.
People always want to talk about small markets. Okay, I get it. But at the same time, you have to make it sound as if like you need to see these stars because these are the next people who are going to take this game to the next stratosphere. And you can easily do that by promoting, not just promoting to basketball fans, but promoting to all of the fans. Because here's the thing, and I get it. We're not going back to the Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird era. But the thing that I always said about Michael Jordan, and I know he's an exception to the rule, Michael Jordan made it to where your mother or your granny who don't care about basketball would tune in to watch. One, because he was great, but also because of the hype and the pageantry around the finals. People wanted to tune in to see what he was going to do, if he was going to win or if he was going to lose. He never lost, but that's why we tuned in. And the NBA has to do a better job of pulling in the fans who don't normally watch basketball. I'm going to be in front of a TV anytime the NBA finals come on, even if my team is not playing. My team is the Atlanta Hawks. They're probably not going to be in the finals, right? But I love basketball, so I'm going to be tuned in. And I think we have to get out of the mindset of, well, if Boston's not playing or New York's not playing or the Lakers aren't playing, that we aren't interested. No, that's not the case. What we saw over the last 7 games was a pretty damn good series. I thought it was a good series. Obviously, Pacers star Tyrese Halliburton getting hurt, tearing his Achilles in Game 7 after, 6 or 7 minutes of play. That was, the air got let out of the building because at that point we knew it was going to be an uphill battle for Indiana to win. Obviously, if you take the best player off of any team, their chances of winning, particularly a Game 7, is probably not going to happen, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say that the outcome was decided, but the outcome pretty much was decided. Even though Indy kept the game close, they were up by 1 point at halftime, and they had a chance, but ultimately they just kind of got worn down. They had a bunch of turnovers, which would have helped had they had Halliburton. But injuries are a part of the game. We wish Tyrese Halliburton a speedy recovery from that injury. It looks like he's probably not going to play next year at all. Hopefully he's able to bounce back. That being said, again, it's the presentation. I saw where a lot of fans were complaining about the logo. In years past, the logo at mid-court was the Larry O'Brien trophy. Well, they don't do that anymore. The word was that the logo was slippery. I don't know how a logo could be slippery, but okay. So what the NBA does now is, because they have all of these huge sponsors, they digitally insert a image onto the court. So on the TV screen, you'll see the O'Brien trophy, but it's only in a small space in the corner of the arena. But if you're in the arena, obviously you can't see it because this is digitally enhanced just for TV. And so they switch sponsors throughout the game. I get that part of it because, trust me, if I'm Amazon and I'm paying $1.5 billion for this package and I want my name on the court, I want my name on the court the whole game. I get it because nobody pays attention to signage and stuff around an arena. That being said, it still has to, you got to remember that it's a product that has to look good for TV. And quite honestly, it has not looked good for TV. And I think that's part of the problem. And you have to be able to get people to tune in and lock in. And I think ABC doesn't do a good job of that. Again, I'll be honest. I'm not a fan of ABC's pregame show, their halftime show. In fact, I don't watch it. I'll be honest. Stephen A. Smith, Malika Andrews, Kendrick Perkins, and Bob Myers. A hodgepodge of personalities. We all know that ESPN has been going through a lot of financial things as far as like layoffs and stuff like that. And they've cut a lot of talent. So a lot of the talent that you see on air are not that they're not talented people, but they're people who aren't on the higher end of the pay scale. The people who were kept, but they don't have big salaries, relatively speaking. And I don't know what any of them make other than Stephen A. Smith, who makes, I think he signed like a 4-year deal for $100 million. So they're paying him $25 million a year. So Stephen A. Smith is going to be on any ESPN production because they're going to work him like to death. And I get that part of it too, but you know, Stephen A. Smith wears on people. He can be very brass, very annoying. He knows his stuff most of the time, but he's very loud and obnoxious at times as well too. So he doesn't have necessarily a welcoming personality for you to tune into. If you tune into his show First Take, I get that part of it because you're tuning in to hear what he has to say because he has an opinion on everything. But NBA Finals, I don't know that you can recruit or bring in somebody's mom or somebody's granny who don't normally watch basketball and tune into him. It has to be a different thing. And so we're going to see some changes with ESPN, ABC, because obviously many of you know next year they will be using the TNT crew, which is my favorite crew, Charles Barkley, Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, and Shaq. But we don't know how they're going to be used. Will they be used for the pregame show, the halftime show? There is really, for all intents and purposes, there is no postgame show on ESPN ABC. They just go to, when the game ends, they go immediately to Scott Van Pelt and his show. So it's going to be a lot of different changes next year. I'm not sure how it's going to look or how it's going to feel. I just know that, you know, you can make the finals better, but it has to be presented better. I mean, like, it's one thing if you got a steak on your plate, but now a steak isn't really a steak if you put it on a paper plate. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't look the same unless you have it's on a nice, you know, dish and your knife and your fork are where they're supposed to be and a nice smooth napkin is there. It's all in the presentation. I mean, the steak is going to taste the same if you eat it off a paper plate, but it looks better. And I think really for the amount of talent that we have in the NBA, for the amount of talent that we have on air, I think the NBA can put forth a better product. As far as the announcers, I was a fan of the 3-man team that they had of Mike Breen, Jeff Van Gundy, and Mark Jackson. That team has been broken up, obviously, because Jackson and Van Gundy were fired, if you will, or let go. Their contracts weren't renewed. The team of Mike Breen, Doris Burke, and Richard Jefferson, to me, don't move the needle enough. They are 3 people who, Mike Breen is the consummate pro, and he's great at what he does. He's probably the best commentator in the game. But Doris Burke and Richard Jefferson, they still need a lot more help. And that's tough too, because you want to be able to tune in and understand that there's a certain chemistry there. They don't have a great chemistry, at least not yet. There's a reason why during football season, people tune in to hear Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. No matter what I think about them, they're a great team because they have chemistry. Tony Romo and Jim Nantz have great chemistry. All of the great duos that you've heard in a booth, they have the chemistry, and that's part of the appeal for why you tune in. But again, it goes with the presentation. And I think the NBA Finals, they have a ways to go before they can make this better. It's not just going to be about who's on the court, because here's the thing, and we got to get used to this. If we're being honest with ourselves, LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, they're probably not going back to the finals again. I could be wrong, but they're probably not. So the NBA has to really, really push these young stars because these young stars are here. We've seen 7 different champions the last 7 years. And there's a likelihood that we may see an 8th different champion next year. Although OKC may be back next year. But nonetheless, we can't wait for the old stars to show up because the reality is they're probably not coming back. And we have to get used to an NBA without LeBron, without Steph Curry, without Kevin Durant. That day is coming closer than we think, or maybe what we would like to happen. Got to be honest. LeBron is 500 years old. He can't keep doing this. And you shouldn't expect him to, right? It's time for the new stars. It's time for the NBA to really, really push this. And you have to come not just with the stars, but you have to have the presentation. Again, the finals can be fixed. You can only do but so much with the numbers. Because here's the thing. The numbers that you got when Shaq and Kobe were winning titles, when Jordan was winning titles, when LeBron was winning titles, when Steph was winning titles, people have options now as far as what they want to see. I mean, and like this year and these past previous years, the finals are on YouTube as well. So think about it. If I don't have ABC, ESPN, I can go to YouTube. Or I can not watch it at all. I can turn on Netflix and watch the highlights the next day. You know, I say that about the NBA. I mean, like because there's so many games and because the way that the game is presented, I don't think sometimes that the NBA does everything that it can to promote, to make sure that we get eyes on TV screens. It's a much more difficult task now, given the fact that we all have different things we can watch. And if it's not compelling enough, then people may or may not tune in. In conclusion, I think the NBA is a great product. I love watching the NBA. I love tuning in for the NBA Finals in particular. I love seeing champions being crowned. I hope and pray one day that my Hawks will be in the title game and win a title before I check up out of here. But the thing that I have to say is that the NBA has to understand that it's their product and they have to put on a great show and a great presentation for people to tune into the NBA Finals. If you tune into the NBA Finals and it appears that the ESPN, ABC broadcast doesn't care about what they say or how it looks, why do you expect anybody else to care? It's not. It's just that simple. Whatever you want to produce, you have to give the people what they want. And the people have been screaming for this for a while. It's time for the NBA to deliver. And that once they deliver, you'll see a change in the NBA Finals. But there's always going to be a champion. There's always going to be a next guy. There's always going to be a good story. But it's about how you relate that story to people, unlike me, who's just going to show up, because everybody's just not showing up anymore. NBA, it's on you to fix the finals. You can do it, but it's up to you. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We drop new episodes every Thursday and every Sunday at midnight. We have a YouTube channel. Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/12 Kyle Podcast. Like and subscribe there as well. Share the show with a friend. If you're on social media, 12 Kyle Podcast, all across the board on social media. If you'd like to contribute to the podcast financially, hit us up, Cash App, $TWELVEKYLE. Also, we have merch. You can hit us up, look in the comment section, hit the merch link, and you can buy 12 Kyle Podcast t-shirts, hoodies, as well as coffee mugs. We got it for the low. And last but not least, we have a new baby. It is called the Rap Soul Podcast. It is the intersection where we have discussions about music and artists from the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s. When it deals to rap, hip hop, soul, as well as R&B. Simply put, folks, it's the best music podcast that you've never heard. So check it out. Again, that's going to do it for me. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000. Cheer.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of the 12 Kyle Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and share this podcast with a friend who needs the 12 Kyle Podcast in their life. Every listen, every download, and every share helps us grow. Thanks for being a part of the 12 Kyle podcast community. We appreciate your support. We will catch you next time. 5,000.
This is an ad by Regain Couples Therapy and features real testimonials.
This was our first time trying therapy, and honestly, it was long overdue. Looking back, we just wish we had started sooner.
Regain's qualified therapists help couples when they can't get there on their own.
We thought it was intimacy issues, but Andrea helped us uncover a deeper root cause we hadn't even realized was there.
Visit regain.com/couplespod to get 10% off your first month. Regain, powered by BetterHelp.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.